Imagine one day you go to a place you don't want anyone to know about. Because it's a place that doesn't match the image you want others to have of you, so you keep it a secret. After a while, you decide to tell a close friend you trust. You explain him where you went there and why. He understands and promises that your secret is safe with him. But let me ask you this. What do you think will happen if your friend exposes your secret? How will the people who admired you will react? How will you feel about your friend? And most importantly, how will you feel about yourself now that the secret is out? It's the same with the shadow. Many people talk about it and recommend addressing it through shadow work, but they never mention the risks. What do you think will happen when your shadow gets exposed? How do you think people who admired you will react? How will your relationships change? And most importantly, how will you feel about yourself? These are the questions they never talk about, yet they are crucial and need to be answered when doing shadow work. But first, let's explore what the shadow actually is. The shadow is a term Carl Jung used to describe the parts of ourselves that we don't like to accept or acknowledge. It can be because we find them uncomfortable or unacceptable. These are aspects of our personality that are hidden or suppressed, often because they don't fit with the image we want to have of ourselves. Most often, we project them onto others instead. Now, a good question would be, why do we do that? And why do we call it the shadow? Jung called it the shadow because, like an actual shadow cast by light, it's always there, but often out of sight or awareness. Or we do not always see them clearly when we have a chance to see them. It's the exact same thing for these parts of us. They are being placed in a hidden place, where our conscious mind can't see them and use them. So naturally, what we do instead is accuse another person of having them. And we do that unconsciously. Now, why do you think Carl Jung developed this shadow theory? Well, let me tell you that according to estimates, only 5% of human brain activity is conscious. The remaining 95% takes place subconsciously. And not only do we have no real control over it, but we are also not even aware that it is taking place. So, Jung developed this theory because he believed that understanding these hidden parts of ourselves could help us become more authentic by gaining self-awareness and being less controlled by unconscious feelings or desires. Now you might be asking, what are some examples of these things we call shadow? Well, examples of the shadow could be anything from desires, thoughts, and emotions that we try to deny or push away unconsciously. Now, are these things considered as shadows? Do they affect your behaviors and personality? The answer is yes. But another question will be, how? Well, by overwhelming a person's actions. What do I mean by that? Well, the shadow can influence our behavior without us realizing it. That happens when we are shocked, confused, or unable to make a decision. In this moment, your conscious mind is less in control, so your shadow self has the full possibility in those moments to possess you, meaning parts of yourself that you normally hide or deny start expressing themselves. And the worst part is that it is done unconsciously. Otherwise, you could have a small chance of stopping it or faking it. Now, when that happens, is this behavior you're projecting? Is it always bad or good? In other terms, are the shadows naturally positive or negative things? Naturally, let me tell you that the shadow is neither fully good nor bad. It just is. It's a natural part of being human. Some parts of the shadow might feel negative, like fear of failure, for example, but others could be positive qualities we've rejected. Remember, the shadow includes all of these things we hide since we do not accept them as things that could be part of our persona. By persona, I mean the social mask or front that we present to the world. Now, is this shadow something static, or does it change over time? Honestly, the shadow isn't static. It can change as you grow and as your experiences shift. New things can enter your shadow, or you may bring parts of it into the light as you work on them. But does everyone have a shadow? Like you may guess, yes, everyone has a shadow. It's a universal part of being human, because no one is completely free from the unconscious. But how do you even identify yours in particular? Well, there are two ways you can use. The first one is by paying attention to what your behavior is when you are under strong emotions like anger or envy, etc. Why? Because in those moments, the conscious mind is not working and the unconscious mind takes place. Since the shadows are in our unconscious mind, they start to manifest. The second way is by noticing traits in others that you strongly dislike or judge. Why? Well, because, like we said before, oftentimes we project our shadows onto others. So these reactions often point to qualities or weaknesses we have in ourselves but deny unconsciously. Now, you might be asking, what do I do after identifying them? What do I even get from that? Well, by identifying your shadow, you've completed the biggest step of the way. Since you are aware of them, you are aware of patterns of behavior that you can either use or improve to be more authentic. And how do you do that? After identifying your shadow, the next step is to accept it without judgment. This is called observation. A lot of people are not able to do that, observing without judging. This means recognizing that you own these parts of yourself. By doing so, you can do the next step easier. The next step is integrating your shadow. Integrating your shadow means making peace with the hidden parts of yourself and allowing them to be part of your conscious life. Only you can do that. Only you have the willpower to shift hidden parts of yourself to see the light, use them, and accept them. When you do that, you remove from yourself the charge of hiding and faking all the time who you truly are. Then, and only then, you can lead yourself correctly on the way of personal growth and self-acceptance. You also gain more control over your behavior because you're not being unconsciously driven by denied aspects of yourself. Moreover, remember that even researchers say that the frequency of authenticity is 4,000 times more powerful than love. And honestly, you'll feel it. There's no better sensation than being your authentic self. 100% authentic without faking any parts. Now, the big question is, are there any risks associated with all that? Let me tell you, this process itself can be uncomfortable because it involves facing parts of yourself that you might not like. Because if you like them, you would be using them, but you hide them. So that being said, yes, there's a risk. There is a risk of becoming overwhelmed. Why? Because these shadows are able to bring up strong emotions like anger, shame, or sadness, since these are things you have hidden long enough. It's the same as your secrets being exposed to people. You know how it feels, right? But take it easy. Don't rush it, and don't be hard on yourself because it is truly uncomfortable. Now, this risk is internal. There are also some external risks, like conflict or loss of close friends and also enemies. Why? Because they knew a different person than the one you are becoming. But there is one more thing I want to tell you. Be patient with yourself. And remember, my friend, that being your authentic self will help you. It will help your family and the world, even though more people prefer to live unconsciously. And we understand that living unconsciously feels easier and less energy-consuming since you're living on autopilot with your habits, but it is not the best. Moreover, the unconscious not only contains our shadows, because the shadow is only a part of the unconscious mind, which is also where archetypes, universal symbols and patterns of behavior, exist. The collective unconscious is the shared reservoir of these archetypes and experiences that all humans have. We do have a video about archetypes and the collective unconscious. Check our Carl Jung Theories playlist to understand it better. And remember, If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Your likes really help the channel grow and reach more people interested in self-discovery and spirituality. Also, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss out on our deep dives into other Carl Jung theories and principles. Leave a comment below on what resonated with you the most or any questions you have. I love you all. See you in the next video.